the Split 2 2020 OPL playoffs. I am your host, Nick Boy Richardson. Woo! Oh, coming in hot. That one was... Whoa, boy. Oh, let's not do that again. That was way too close for everyone's comfort on that one. I am joined, as always, by Jake Spawn Tiberi, Zach, Rusty Pie, Andre, Skimmy Olchin, and Juves. How are we, gentlemen?
Who's going
Not
first?
bad.
I usually go
Who's
first
going-
all the time.
I thought you said that you were going to do the American accent.
No,
You're like,
I could
just
do that.
wait
I don't
for
know
me,
if that's-
boys. I'm doing the
He's
American
got
accent.
camera shy. He's got camera shy now.
No, I'll do it. But the thing is, dude, I feel like a lot of the time I borderline terms of service, and so like when I don't have to get on that line, I don't want to.
Okay. Well,
Right,
if Juice
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
want to get on there, I'll open. I'm having a throwback day. You know how I've been having this difficulty where I was like, I feel like I'm not looking good, I'm not feeling good, or anything like that? I woke up this morning, I looked at myself in the mirror, and I was like, you've taken some years off, Spawn. You look okay. And then I shaved,
nice.
I did my hair. Jenna gave me that fresh haircut, and it's looking good. I'm having a bloody banger, ladies and gentlemen.
You woke up this morning and you were turned on by Jake, and that is
Correct.
a great feeling.
100% correct. I looked at myself, and I was like, wow, you look 23 again.
That is a very nice place to be. And you had an espresso and a muffin for breakfast. Rusty, what did you eat?
For breakfast, I've been having my oats with fruit, Nick, every day. Trying to eat healthy as much as I can, because breakfast is just my favourite meal of the day, to be honest.
Is it actually your favorite meal?
Yeah, by far. I don't know why.
Why?
I think I just like eating so much that going from not eating for hours when you're asleep to waking up and being hungry, just it feels good to eat.
It is not only my least favorite meal of the day. I don't have it for most of the week. It is not even on the calendar when it comes to the Nick Boy food experience. So, but I will mess with a brunch, like a brunch, mwah, a breakfast.
Brunch
Get
goes
out of
off.
here. Yeah, brunch goes off, Skimmy.
It does. I mean, coffee, banana bread, it's my go-to. I stick to it religiously. I have it all the time, and it just carries me until, those hunger pains strike around the 4 or 5 p.m. mark. You're like, probably time for dinner. So, we have an interesting diet, I guess. It's stock standard. There's no variation, but it gets the job done.
Speaking of getting the job done, we just got the job done before coming on air here, and a massive thank you to Spawn for some real clutch technical difficulties work there as well, taking over the role from Skimmy, who normally is the one who's like, oh, I've got the weird rule that everyone forgets of how to fix this thing. And it's a good thing we fixed as well, because we've got a big night of League of Legends action coming at you, thanks to our partners Macca's, Neosurf, and Epos. Tonight, it is the Chiefs versus PGG as we continue this slow, devastating march towards death. Towards the grand finals of the OPL. PGG versus Chiefs are your games for tonight. It is a best of 5 between these two, and this one could go to all 5, I reckon, Spawn.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And we were talking about this a little bit last night when Rusty, myself, and Pete were on another show. And I was saying that historically, this has just looked like a really tough matchup for the Chiefs. And although last time they beat Pentanet pretty cleanly, I do agree that when Pentanet's coach say we have a recipe to be able to have a good time against this team, and I think it does revolve around the jungle. Croc plays pretty much for himself. He passed towards the end in the early game and then tries to get a lot of damage done solo. But I think that Pabu really is that unselfish jungler, much like we've seen Hughes on that Sin Gaming lineup take down the Chiefs historically, and I think he can get some damage done today.
And he certainly will... Oh, sorry,
Sorry,
Rusty, you
I
go.
wasn't sure. No, hey, my bad. You go.
Juice, you go.
No, you go.
No, this is awkward. You go.
Okay. No, I was just gonna reiterate. Well, like stylistically, right? If you look at the Pentanet bot lane, they actually started off with a bit of a lane kingdom against Order, right, in their first playoffs game. And Chiefs, yes, they had the really good mid-game team fighting. They had some very good mid-game team fighting, but their laning phase against Direwolves was a little bit lackluster. Getting 2v2 killed a couple times. I do think Pentanet cannot match the Chiefs in the top side of the map. But the beauty about that is that Biopanther picks things like Mundo anyway and kind of avoids all interaction in the game until about 35 minutes. So we're going to see a nice kind of like clash of styles. One team that focuses heavily on top side, the other team who resources bot side.
And the winner of these two games are going to go on to face off against Order for the chance to face up against Legacy in our grand final next week, which it's coming. There's nothing you can do about it. Unlike, very much like the big D word that I mentioned beforehand. Grand finals are happening, no matter what. We started getting stuff in the mail for those. I got something addressed to OPL casters Nick Pye, and I don't know whether or not I'm legally allowed to open it. Zach, I think you might have something of mine.
Oh, I should check the names
I hope
on
I
it.
got yours.
Oh, wait,
because
it says
it's
my
terrible.
name, Nick.
It does?
Yeah, the parcel
That
I got
sucks.
today has my name on it, so that's got to be your one that you have.
Speaking of things getting delivered, did you buy that shirt on Instagram?
Hell yeah, dude! You don't sit in COVID and not just impulse buy everything that shows up on Instagram.
I saw that shirt on an Instagram ad, and I was like, I want to buy that, but I don't know whether or not
It's
this
so
is a
cute.
scam.
Wait, is that stuff safe? I never buy it because I think it's not safe.
Nah, you've got to be really selective. There's like,
Yeah.
it's not like a vetting process, but you do give them a quick Google. You don't just jump in and
yeah,
buy it
yeah.
straight
Certainly
away.
do. Yeah, you certainly do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I bought a $225 set of adjustable weights off Instagram about 6 months ago when I was hella desperate. And I'm holding out hope, guys. They will arrive eventually and we will be able to get back
One
on that
day.
grind.
Yeah, it's brutal. I've got about a 75% strike rate when it comes to getting the thing that I bought on Instagram. It doesn't stop me though. If anything, the dodgier the website, the more I'm like, I'm going to support a small local business. And the worst is when you see the cat shirt pop up on like 5 different stores, and you're like, hang on a second, which one did I order this from? Because it's definitely going to go bad. Something that's not going to go bad is all of the League of Legends we've got coming your way tonight, and none of it is possible without the work of our wonderful sponsors, one of which is Neosurf. Neosurf want to put you in the opening titles of the OPL. They want you to be the star because Spawn certainly doesn't want to be the star of the OPL opening titles anymore. He's had enough of that. He's been dab daddy for a full split now, and it's time for someone else to take on the crown. All you need to do is take a video of yourself joining our opening titles phone call, follow at OPL and at Neosurf Esports on Twitter, and then DM that video to us at OPL. There are full terms and conditions on watch.lollysports.com. First prize, $500 Australian Neosurf voucher catch. Actually, I technically don't know whether or not Neosurf use Australian dollars in their voucher, so you should probably, maybe they have some sort of Neosurf bucks that they use. We should look into that. Regardless, 500 somethings are going to be on your Neosurf voucher that you can use in the League of Legends store, and runners-up will get 100 somethings each in terms of Neosurf voucher credit. You all get to be a part of the opening titles for the end of this split, for the last split of the year. What better way to celebrate some OPL and some League of Legends by joining the final title sequence for the year. So a massive thank you to our partner Neosurf, where you can keep control of your payments in currencies around the world, including Neosurf bucks. All right, let's quickly get around the horn to see who we think is going to take out tonight, and particularly game number 1. Rusty, is it going to be Chiefs or PGG?
I think it'll be Chiefs in 3 or PGG in 5. That's how I feel about this.
That's a massive hedge. Sin, Juves.
I think Chiefs will probably win the series 3-2 or 3-1.
Skimmy?
Chiefs 3-1.
Spawny.
See, I thought, like, Pentanet holding the head-to-head. Everyone's going to be on the Pentanet hype train. Then I can swoop in and be like, bam, Chiefs are better than you think. But, yeah, I think Chiefs actually eliminated maybe the most dangerous team in the playoffs last week in Diables, and I think they'll continue to roll off that. I reckon it's a 3-1 for the Chiefs.
I'll buck the trend and I'll go 3-2 to PGG. Come on, PD, we can do it. If you can't do it, no one... Willie. All right, it's time for game number 1. It's Chiefs versus PGG, and it's coming up now with the Macca's Chance Select.
I'm feeling very confident for the matchup against Chiefs. We went 2-1 against them during the regular season, and I think they've always been a team which stylistically we've matched up well against.
We really don't have any good bot lanes for the rest of playoffs to verse, so I'm pretty confident, at least for 2v2, that we're the best bot lane.
Well, I think when you play against the Chiefs, you basically just have to play against Croc. He's the only real consistent carry on that team. Everyone else has moments of brilliance, but none of them are anywhere near consistent.
Normally the Chiefs have a very pick the end of all time matchup, camp top, gank top 600 times, hope he carries the game kind of mentality. But it was really interesting to see them shift, and I wonder if that's just for Direwolves or whether they will continue that up against us.
Prepare well and have more ways of playing the game than just the style that we have.
And here we go, jumping into the lower bracket. There are no second chances now here, Spawn. It is the do or die moment. The Chiefs taking on Pentanet.gg. It's an opposites attract kind of moment, really, as you kind of alluded to, with the Chiefs getting the 3-1 over the Direwolves, and then Pentanet.gg falling down 1-3 against Order.
And Skimmy, before we get into this game, I do have a really important bone to pick with you. And I've been saving it up.
Okay.
Because I believe you tweeted out, and I'm going to say it was like 3 or 4 days ago, the fact that you had got a sick new haircut. And I believe you called it a quote-unquote fade. And now, Skimmy, I don't know whether you know this, but Juves and I, we're big proponents of the fade. We like to have a sick Melbourne haircut.
Okay.
So I did what any other self-respecting friend would do, and I said, that's sick, show me. And then you never sent me a picture.
No, well, you see, not a big person for the social media game. I don't really buy into it too much, so I didn't need to buy myself any clout anytime soon. I left it for the grand moment here today.
Well, then, headset off quickly, just for the fans at home.
Quick headset off. Just forget about the draft. Forget about the draft. We gotta quickly zoom in on this angle.
Correct. So just show me the fade. Okay. Oh, that's actually.
It is pretty clean. I'll tell you what. The man went from 0 to 2. I thought he went 0 to 100, but it was all there. It was good. It was clean. And we're ready to see some clean picks. We're jumping well into the first rotation of those picks and bans. And we are going to get that Lilia once again. Pretty keen to see what they can do. I do think Lilia has a place in the meta. Some fantastic kiting ability, some insane CC, obviously, with the sleep. But the damage, too. It's
her damage
is
insane, Skimmy. When you get into a team fight, if you get that Leandri's Torment and you just flash Q like 3 people, put them to sleep, you know, but you get one more rotation of spells off, you actually do work in a 5v5 scenario. Her AoE is so good. I am, however, surprised that Redside got to ban Caitlyn and still got to pick Ashe. Because generally when you ban Caitlyn, Ashe is just an immediate first pick. And there's not really all that many champions, apart from maybe the Senna, that do well into it. Obviously, Praedyth going with a Jhin here, Skimmy. But I do think so far that the Chiefs have got themselves a relatively good draft.
Anyway, certainly do. I'm sure Claire's going to be quite happy the fact that he was put on to Bruiser duties last week. They really trying to change the narrative of what worked for them, where Claire had been more along the lines of a control mage, rock solid in that mid lane, a point of consistency, almost the architect of success to play around. Placed into that different role last week. Then we saw Croc have a really stand-up performance where he was the outright carry in some fantastic games in the likes of Carthus, so to speak. So I'm interesting to see what this means, where we'll find those bruises, where we'll find those tanks, and what this bot lane matchup will look like. Because you saw Praedyth there, rather outspoken, saying, I think bot lane for us, we're the strongest 2v2 here.
Yeah, and I mean, that's an interesting take from Praedyth, because I'm sure that there would be bottom lanes in the OP that would disagree with that. But the best thing about Praedyth has always been, Skimmy, he just doesn't give a damn. He doesn't care whether you think you're better than him. He's just going to be able to throw the gauntlet down. And with Rogue in the bottom lane, that is certainly a 2v2 that you have to be concerned of. Now, this is a different pick, because that is going to be a top lane volley bear, I believe, Skimmy.
It's looking good. You wouldn't expect to see Nidalee anywhere else this current stretch of the imagination with the meta as it is. I am quite interested, though, where Pentanet have gone with their draft. I mean, opening up with the Renekton, first of all, obviously leaves yourself very vulnerable to a whole host of counter picks. They've obviously invested free to make life a little bit easier there for BioPanther, and now they're deliberating as to how will they find success in this bottom lane. They've got the Jhin. What do they want? Extra damage, more engaged potential. That is what Rogue accelerates, or I should say excels at. Then the Galio coming in there clutch as well, and we saw from Get Back's series last week, 2 games, some pretty standout performances in his own right too.
Yeah, pretty curious whether we see something like, I was going to say Morgana, or whether it is going to be a tankier pickup. I would have said potentially Set could do well into Leona. Braum, also one of those champions, if you go onto him, can turn around with a lot of damage. So once again, I do think the Chiefs have got a pretty well-balanced composition. It is a lot of magic damage on the top side of Summoner's Rift, so something to look out there for there. On the flip side, Pentanet, they've just got an all-out team fight, scrap comp, double front line, maybe even triple if you consider Galio that tanky boy. Heaps of damage going to come out of this as well. If you're going to just throw the gauntlet on 5v5, you probably want a composition like Pentanet.gg.
Certainly do, and it's interesting because I had a quick look at the games from the regular season coming to this one, sort of areas to focus on, areas to look to be excited for. For the side of Chiefs, it doesn't really look like their drafting strategy has changed too much, but a big emphasis on ensuring that the Pentanet bot lane is not going to be as free as it has been in the past, then invest either those other picks towards mid lane and make Get Back not be that outright carry that he's shown on multiple levels with the likes of, say, a Kassadin. And we look back at some of those games to start off the split. I mean, game number 1, we saw a Nocturne and Fiddlesticks, which really caught the Chiefs off guard. We go into game number 2 much the same, where it was a get-back situation, looking to get pentakills and just get big numbers. Game 3, I suppose, when we got to sort of see that difference, the fact that Tien was relieved of tank duty, he's got to play a carry, went the Akali, and sort of brought into the narrative of what we see, where it's Croc goes top lane, those two together, just destroy the top side of the map.
Yeah, completely agree, and I think that's what we're going to see of here today. And one thing that I am a little bit worried about, Skimmy, and I'll continue to revisit this narrative, is that Pabu said that he could get a lot done around Summoner's Rift while Croc was focusing that top lane. Now, if you're Lilia, you're probably not getting all that much done anywhere, to be perfectly honest. She's a farming jungler until at least level 11 when she starts to really excel in the fight. So I want to see whether Pabu can have some, early skirmishes that will go his way. Because if not, I feel like the Chiefs definitely in a good situation.
They most certainly are. And we're going to kick off with that best-of-5 situation. It's going to be Bradif and Katsuri, the ones to look forward to, the ones in the bot lane that have so much pressure on them to find that snowballing effect. It's Pentanet.gg taking on the Chiefs here. It's a best-of-5. It's a do-or-die situation. You live or die by the sword that you will fall on. And it is a chance for these teams to continue their playoff stream.
Chance to play Order tomorrow in a best-of-5. Winner of that will go to the grand final and take on Legacy, who are looking in fine form still, Skimmy. But it does feel like the OPL this time around is wide open. I thought that Legacy last split, they were just out and out the best team and going to win it. Right now, I feel like on their given day, any of these 4 top teams can take the entirety of the league, get that position at Worlds, and we'll get to see today whether that is going to be Chiefs or Pentanet.gg taking that next step.
That's what we'll be looking forward to. Pentanet do hold the head-to-head in a regular split, 2-1. But as the season has gone on through, sort of what we saw from last week in the playoffs, it really felt like a lot of that narrative of what was shown during those 10 weeks of play very quickly went out the door, and it was much of the, what matters now? That was a best-of-1, this is a best-of-5. Yes, you can showcase what you can do in a small situation like that, but can you continue it when the pressure goes on for, umpteen hours?
Yeah, we'll see whether that is going to be the case. Pabu does 1 camp and is actually already looking to cross. He hasn't got a buff yet, Skimmy, and I always think that these are the cute plays that happen when you haven't got a buff, but you still feel like you're good enough to be able to engage a little, invade, a little bit of vertical jungling happening here. Maybe we'll spot out Croc. However, Croc doing the right thing. He's actually going to take a peek into the bottom lane first.
He certainly is. Look at Draku flashing forward, hits the concussive blows, 2 stacks, waiting for the fork, waiting for the stun, turns around, hits him with the snipe, drop Draku to half. And as he gets locked in place there with the stun, actually prevents what was a premeditated spear coming on through, which could have been first blood.
That's a terrible play coming through from the Chiefs. They did not calculate the creeps that were going to fall down for level 2, and you could see that straight away Rogue's just way too tanky to have any aggression onto him once he does have that W. So already a flash burnt into that bottom lane. They're going to have cleanse heal summoner spells as well, so now maybe Draco can fall down, get back. Some good damage.
Good damage as both mid laners will be dropped to half, but still with consumables there, going to be topped up and healthy. Pabu, with a successful invade, will then be able to get himself that first bard with the red buff at just that. But no, on the minimap right now, the Chiefs do have a ward on his blue, so they'll be aware if he decides to go there anytime soon.
Yeah, and this is what should happen when you're playing a Volibear top lane. You should have constant push and pressure until first shop, really, when potentially some healing cut is going to come out, and then, maybe the Red Nectin has some better trading power back. But this is a very rough early game, and maybe even a die.
Oh, forced to flash away out of that Storm and Thunder. That could have been a lot of damage right there. He's gone for the Conquest. He's not going to have that instant burst damage, and he could still be vulnerable here. As Croc flashes forward, double buffs, pounds 2 turret shots, too little too late. The Chiefs get first blood.
Yeah, really well played from Croc. They just read that nicely. Skipped the camps he needed to skip. There's a top scuttle crab, there's a blue buff, all available. But Croc says, you know what? I just want the kill right now. Now we'll walk into the jungle and take away the rest of those spoils. However, Pabu right now is going to cross. This could be the first clash we see between these 2 junglers.
Certainly could be. Pabu has self-advantage, and he has a flash if he wants to commit to it as well, but the clearing speed of an Italy in the right place at the right time from a first blood to a buff steal as well. Really good start, and this is an area of the map that you love to see the Chiefs excel at.
And I'm very curious that Pabu just took his romp there, because with how the lanes are currently playing out, get that off a fresh shop in mid lane with priority, and Firepanther currently solo in the top lane. I thought he would go for a second Raptor invade immediately, because that camp was coming up unavailable. check the blue, see it's not there, try and chase Nidalee into a Raptor camp. And I think that Lilia plus Galio should have a pretty good job in that 2v2 at this stage of the game, Skimmy. But instead, deciding to just fully clear down, maybe wanting to play around the fact that Greg, who doesn't have a Flash Summoner spell available, they have got full river control on the bottom side of Summoner's Rift. But no shop yet for Parvu, so it's not going to be the case.
Once again, cheeky little trade takes place in the mid lane as both are dropped down a little bit. We've seen a situation like this before. Obviously, the situation a little bit different then. It was Parvu playing the Kha'Zix into clear Syndra, which really put him behind as a result. But during that game, we saw Pentanet make the decision to go for a full 5v5 at that Herald, and that proved to be their own demise in the end. That was the game where TN was playing the Akali. He picks up not only the Herald, but a triple kill too. Sort of brought that snowballing factor even further into their court. Going to be interesting to see what they do. Obviously, he was talking about very slim margins still, and he was 500 gold bonus that the Chiefs currently possess. But you no doubt looking for those small advantages to try and up the tempo and find areas of the map that you can excel at as well.
And I was explaining this concept last week, and it is about those small advantages, and it's when you feel like you have a composition that is going to, jungle quicker or get some lane prior. It's not about taking these big risky plays. It's actually just about building a small lead at the start of the game and then using that to have the item advantages in all the skirmishes that happen thereafter. And League of Legends, we call it, I always use the sloping pitch analogy. Just picture in football, if the more possession you had, it started to slope in your favor, right? It just became a little bit easier and easier every single time to score a goal. Well, that's what League of Legends kind of is. If you farm well, if you play the early game well, if you hold possession well, the fights and the goal kicking and everything else afterwards, it becomes a little bit easier. So I'm very interested to see how this goes. Parvu now going to get invaded by Bien as well as Croc. He needs to get out of there.
Yeah, he definitely needs to. Tien's got that Stormbringer, can look to not only get on his head, but also do a ton of damage and sustain it with the bonus health bar as well. Not going to be the case here. Grump will reset, and Parvu will be zoned away and won't have any assistance from his mid laners. Get back locked underneath his turret.
And all they've done there is hold, priority in a couple of lanes for an extended amount of time. It means that this topside river should be completely in the Chiefs' favor. And Juice kind of mentioned this. It is very hard to contest the Chiefs' topside. Just raw skill-wise, they are probably the best topside in the OPL. They are very aggressive and do have some whoopsies on their resume as well, Skimmy, but in a straight-up skill check, 7 minutes into the game, you'd probably back them to draft and win most of these 2v2s or 3v3s.
Let's see how Rogue is posturing right now, looking for the moment. Both very close to level 6 now, and that's when the all-in capacity that both really possess. I mean, I suppose it's the best word to sort of showcase both possess and protect. They've got the ability to try and outplay and find those kind of small margins that can blow open that lead in the bottom lane. And it seems to be sort of the go-to story here for these two bot lanes, where Praetor is able to find himself a bit of a CS lead as a result. But at times we have been critical as to, well, if you've got that lead, how do you best use it? Do you go for a fight? Do you set up yourself for a siege? How do you look to try and find that area of strength? Because you talked about it during the pre-game there, that Chiefs love to play this top side of the map and find strength with it. Again, that's what we're seeing so far. And the proof seems to be in the pudding too, in terms of that CS advantage as well.
Yeah, and really well done from Claire, you have to say, at this stage of the game. He is a CS advantage. Everywhere else is doing quite well, despite the fact that BioPanther fell down for that first blood. He's been able to hit back. And it's really the 14-ish CS in the mid lane that is keeping the Chiefs this far ahead in gold, about 600. Oh!
Okay.
Okay.
That is one he wished the cameraman was AFK for.
And you can see, as per Parvu's picture in the bottom left-hand corner, he is left.
He has left the game. He's left the studio, the virtual studio. He's departed from that video call.
And you know what? I don't blame him, because I wouldn't put up with that either.
No.
That tricksy red buff. Obviously, the red buff running a crit rune this game, Skimmy, because the damage calculation would have been bad.
Yes. Yeah. Reminds me of the very old league system, right? What was a 1% crit chance that you'd always pick up for that lucky one on lane?
Yeah, just run at people as gangplank top lane with a red potion, pop the red pot, and just hope you got a crit on the first 3 auto attacks. If you did, the game was over. But that's
unfortunate.
Going to be a gank in the mid lane.
It certainly is. Out comes the Solar Flare, flashes away. Perfect timing on that one. No need for a cleanse if the overlap isn't clean. Clear is afforded another lifeline. Bet the shockwave in the exchange as well, but that's not going to turn out the trade. That takes place topside now. Stormbringer goes out, flashes out of it, buys himself some time as both junglers now collide. Croc takes 2 turret shots. Will that mean he falls on down? He gets put to sleep, but he gets destroyed. One farm with these bruises. Now who can find another? Pabu dies to a minion, but he takes out your top laner.
Yeah, really well played there from Pentanet. They had inside track onto the gank. You could see that Croc had actually spent his time counter-jungling and did not know that Pabu had access to the river. That is going to be the 2-for-1 trade. Pabu finally on the scoreboard here, Skimmy. It was looking to be a ref game, but that one would bring the confidence back.
Certainly was a nice bit of mechanics maxing there to buy yourself some time, flash towards your jungler, and have the positional advantage. I mean, the fact that Croc got put to sleep and also took 2 turret shots. Very little impact for him to showcase what he can do. And will be no doubt a little bit upset because if that gank had gone their way, he had a Herald to deploy and to make sure that this Renekton was even further zoned out.
Yeah, and that's what you have to remember, right? When you're playing from a situation of power, that's what I said, it's about getting the little advantages. They should have looked for maybe just a chip, a little bit more controlled play, wait for Croc to be back on the map. Or, better yet, I like when Thien plays with Croc's camps there. You know, Thien also joins Croc in that jungle and looks to take even greater advantages. Meanwhile, Croc is going to solo out a dragon. He is one of the few serial dragon soloers left in League of Legends, I feel. Everyone else kind of draws their bottom lane over. He'll do it against double lanes of priority. And credit to Kratos and Rogue. They said they're going to beat everyone in lanes. Well, they're currently 20 CS up, Skimmy, and having a fairly good time down here in the bottom lane.
Yeah, they're definitely loving life, and with 25 stacks remaining on that card, that's even further gold injection that could go his way. We've seen him at the best of times not only do that, but also find turret plates, have a lane swap that favors his ability to take those trades and build up that lead even further, hit those all-important item spikes first, and then be able to showcase what he can do with it as a result. Obviously, both the likes of Jhin and Ashe, notorious for their long range. One with fantastic engage, obviously, with the ultimate with the arrow, but one with a ton of damage with a critical full shot.
Yeah, and Jhin scales insanely well against non-tanks. And I think that's really important to point out. You know, this game, Croc is probably in 2-shot territory from a 4-item Jhin. As this is what Pabu does well. Croc thinks he has the read of the map right now in the top lane, but Pabu already up here.
Oh no, he's going to go for the face check, drops down that ward, reveals it, forces him to flash away, he gets put to sleep. There's the damage from afar, and that's what we're talking about with the Lilia has absurd damage just before level 11. But still, you're well aware of what the Lilia can do. And that will force the Chiefs to back away. We're clear also on the rotation, ready to force a numbers advantage.
Yeah, and really well played again. I mean, it cannot be understated how well Pabu has transitioned to the jungle role this split, Skinny. Because this is quite a difficult 2v2. You know, point-and-click stun for the Nidalee. And Fire Panther did die, however, now.
Well, both don't have their flash to disengage out of this one. They're going to full-on commit. It looks like it's going to be a gentleman's agreement between both these top lanes to fall on down. Tien! One final swing, and it takes him down. A trade between the junglers. Top lane is the place to be right now.
Certainly is, but that was a bit of a mess, Skimmy. And I just have to go back to it. Why have you not got an Executioner calling against the Volibear? Because you see how much healing he's getting done? You have a Nidalee in that 2v2 as well. That's just, I mean, I feel like you're asking to lose the 2v2 at that point. If both of these champions rely on that healing and lifesteal to be able to get them through. Meanwhile, Croc is just going to drop the Herald for a solo turret.
He's crazy. This is a man that we've seen in so many situations. I draft my mind back to, you know, regular split. There was that one game when he was playing the Graves. The team weren't looking like they were in a point of power, but he went 8-1. He just did everything on his own. Took the objectives, took the lanes, took CS. He's put himself in a very strong position.
So now a turret falls down. That's going to be a very early Rod of Ages. 13 minutes. Boots to jungle item, Rod of Ages. This is Croc's game to lose now.
He's going to hurt. If he goes for that gank, if the spear connects, you're as good as gone. A flash might not even save you.
Yep, so we'll see what the response is going to be. One thing about melee supports at the moment is they're not really big Mikhail's builders, so neither of these supports really going to build Mikhail's. Ashe Arrow, Renekton Stun, there's a lot of, like, the sleep even. There's a lot of things that can kind of ruin, you know, Kratos who's fed on one team versus Croc who's fed on the other's day if key CC does hit, because neither of them are going to have a cleanse to be able to get out of that. So I will be interested to see if Croc builds towards a QSS as his next item. There's a fair amount of magic damage on the enemy team, and as I said, you just don't want to be slapped and then shut down in any of these fights. You do need to have a form of cleanse available, I feel, at this stage.
Further to that point, I suppose, it's at what item spike do you go for? Are we looking at a second, a third? For it to fill?
I'd be grabbing it now, right? So right now, Croc is like super strong. He's at the stage of the game where he is definitely in, 1v1, good territory range. He's very accelerated, so I feel like it's okay to take a luxury item at that stage.
That could have been a luxury blue buff as well. Very close to stealing at 108 and ensuring that whilst you stole my Raptors, I can just steal your buffs on cooldown.
And I am curious when Pentanet decides that it's their time to fight, right? Because even though we know they're about 1,500 gold down, they would be seeing one completed item on that 80 carry versus no completed item on the mid lane versus no completed item, and components for the top laner. So they would be feeling pretty strong, right? And I wonder whether the Chiefs are going to also fight for this.
Well, we've seen this be a point of great importance in the past between these two teams. We'll get to see what happens here today. The Herald getting dropped down to 50%. Now comes Shockwave just onto Rogue. Rogue forced to burn that stopwatch as he evaporates, and he's now very squishy as well. Actually, just flashed past the spear. Solid there onto 2. Down comes Galio. That's a shoe, but it won't change. Rogue falling on down. Claire picks up the gold. Now Prater with the Infinity Edge zoned into the pits. He gets put to sleep as there's Tien trying to do it again. The curtain call actually descends onto Jin, of all people, as they get a double kill. And now the Chiefs continue to drive their attention into this jungle. They bit off a little bit more than they can chew, as one will fall down eventually. But that is the Chiefs saying you can have the Herald. We'll just play without any fear.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really well-played team fight from the Chiefs. A couple of crucial things happened there on the replay. First of all, they get a recall and a teleport back with a completed Trinity Force on the Volley Bear. Very nice engage here from Rogue going forward, but you can see Thean gets onto Praedyth, burns his flash, and then he's 1v3ing on the back lines. I just feel like you cannot have that team fight if you are PGG. They need to be able to blow up the volley. They need to then be able to transition into their front to back. If the Volley Bear gets that easy of a backline access, if no one else is hitting it apart from the Jin, they will win every single team fight in this game.
What's interesting about that one there is he used his final shot, had that reload time, went for the ultimate, took a risk, and thought this will be quicker than waiting for the reloads. Unfortunately, it didn't pay off. The member that went his way was a stunning Volley Bear and took him down, ensuring that Croc, whilst he was ahead before, is now even further accelerated, sitting at the 4-1-3 mark, and the only member in this game so far that has a bounty on his head.
Yeah, that Nidalee is a problem. Definitely going to be putting in a lot of work in these team fights, especially given the fact that it is going to be a Conqueror in Italy, so a little bit better at the constant roll, doesn't just have to look for the electrocute one-shots. Panther has been able to pick himself up a couple of kills, and with the Blade of the Ruined King, I would expect him to start doing a little bit better in these one-on-ones, but I do want to call back to the fact that there is still no healing cut for this team, despite the fact that Ashes rushed Blade of the Ruined King. Oh, I think Bio got around him then.
He's gone for the wraparound. Now does the pings fiercely, slices and dices out of that Shockwave, clears in trouble, forced to use that flash very defensively and very early on too, because he knew that Parbu was in the area. And that could have been an easy kill on that side lane.
And I'm quite interested in the fact that they aren't sieging this turret. Instead, they're just walking it straight down river here, Skimmy. Looking for something else.
Certainly are. I'm going to have a bit of a crack at this bot lane so far, as side lanes are being targeted so far. The trade-off is Croc's going to go for a gank in the bottom lane. Now mid lane is completely exposed. Katsui does not want to step up to the table to this one, especially when 4 members are there and a Herald to guarantee. That'll be a match for 1-for-1 with these turrets.
Okay, so that's a good play. And I speak about this a lot, but if you are going to play a hard 1-3-1 style, and with Jin, that is certainly something that you can lean towards quite heavily, you need to get the first turret down in the mid lane, because it just allows you to push them deeper and get access to either side of the jungle that you want. However, the Chiefs now doing something very similar. You can see that they've got an Orianna as well as an Italy on bottom side of the turret. There are 3 people here, but this is going to be a dive.
Here comes the arrow. The spear didn't connect, but that's not going to prevent Pentanet putting numbers into the area to cool the attention. Also base defense. That will mean, though, that Tien can get his bot turret uncontested, and Biopanther might look to try and even the score. No, he's actually going to go for a reset, just wait for that wave to crash.
Yeah, well, what they're calling right now is that the Gallia can't fight against the Volley Bear. And we can see that because Thean's just been able to pick up a turret and pushing in waves with absolutely no response. So They need the Galio to be topside against this Orianna, and they need the Renekton to be bottom side. It took them a little while to get the lane assignments right. They are going to lose about 5 or 6 creeps on the bottom side of the map because they did stuff around a little bit. But 2 turrets for 1 is certainly a good trade for Pentanet at this stage of the game, and still only 2,500 gold behind.
In the end, as you say, 2 for 2. Is where we're at right now, with different parts of the map being targeted, different parts of the map being unlocked. Really, the side lanes becoming a bit of a focus here for the Chiefs, whereas Pentanet, all importantly, managed to take that first turret down through the mid lane, and that could open up some good opportunities for them, not only to get some vision, but the ability to have some priority, which can then force them to go for these objectives. Chiefs currently sitting on 2 dragons. We know that the Pentanet roster like to try and slow the tempo down if they can, and prevent a very early soul point, which would be an Ocean one at this stage.
Yeah, and that's important to point out, right, Skimmy, because you've hit the nail on the head. Pentanet, they're a much slower team, more akin to maybe like a Legacy, if you're looking for a direct comparison. Whereas the Chiefs, they are definitely the quickest team in the OPL at this point in time. So I think that Chiefs, if they get this next Dragon, would be very confident that even if they don't get the Soul eventually, they will get enough team fights based on that Soul point that they will eventually win this game. So I feel like Dragon number 3 up in 53 seconds is crucial for the PGG lineup to be able to win.
Question is Biopepper looking to run it back with the exact same play, this time in the bottom lane? He has Flash, Claire will not. Could go for the all-in, has the Blade of Ruin King, as you already mentioned, so the ability to lock him down and chase him down is going to be very possible.
The issue is you can't make any of these plays bottom side because you've completely lost mid lane priority. So you can see that even though they're pinging on it, they just keep moving into the jungle, and Claire can be fairly safe.
He wants it. He's gone for the Dominus. There's a Shockwave. The response is immediate. And Claire can afford to make that play because he knows he has his team running through the bot river.
Okay, so I think that that's actually a win for PGG, however, because I would value Shockwave slightly higher than Dominance in these compositions. Just given how long range you can be with this Jhin, you need to be able to put him on threat, either by a flank, which they don't have right now, or a Shockwave. So I think that that was a good trade right now for PGG, and you can see that they're still confident enough to start up this Dragon.
Tien pushing mid, looking to try and take that one down. Now looking for a wrap. You're just waiting for Chiefs to hit that poke, most importantly, on the Nidalee. The spears haven't connected just yet, but the Dragon's getting dropped lower and lower. Out comes Yaru. Keytuck is found. Biopepper's gone. There's the Dragon. A third one for the Chiefs. They flash away. Biopepper receives that heal, but there's Tien on the flank. He takes out one. He commands the pressure. Slam dunks onto your head. Out comes the Galio. Knocks off nobody. Gives nobody any magical damage. And a Taunt comes out too little too late. Out comes the stopwatch, waiting for the rest of his team to get the hell out of dodge. And they might not have the ability to do just that because they are locked under what were the runes of that turret. Here's the Shockwave, the cooldown, it takes him out for a second. Croc continues to deliver the damage. He finds himself a double as Volibear is on the screen. There's the ace, a flawless one at that, at the 22-minute mark.
And what a team fight out of the Chiefs. They just read that one perfectly. They knew Get Back was on the flank. They knew they needed backline access, and they just bide their time. Look at the end. Walks purely over pink wards, ensures that he is in safety, and then pauses just before he gets to the next one. This is pretty crucial because they time it flawlessly. The end rounds the corner just as the arrow is going off. Now they know their 80 carry is under threat. And Pentanet, they just have to get the hell out of there. There is no way for them to be able to win this team fight. Some great peeling coming across from Draku as well. Katsuri, the team fight 80 carry, able to live. The Chiefs taken over. And Pentanet, again, despite a good early game, really struggling in these team fights so far in the gauntlet.
As you saw there, struggling to find the invitation. They're on the back foot from the start. They didn't even try and target Katsuri. Pablo, a man on a mission, tried to go for the 1v1, tried to do it all on his own. But without the assistance of another diving teammate, was unable to do the damage. A flawless ace to start off this series. One that's going to balloon the gold lead even further in their favor. Up by 6k are they now, the Chiefs, and with the Dragon also picked up, it's looking like a fantastic start to this best of 5.
And you got to feel that this game probably has under 10 minutes left, because it's going to be a soul point fight, and if Chiefs don't win off that, it's probably going to be an Elder fight. So Rogue going in.
Rogue once more. He's going to go for the ultimate. He's going to lock in Draku. He's going to go for the Glacial Fission and disengage out of what the curtains call AoE range is. Rogue's in so much trouble as a result of this one. He Hex flashed over. He has no flash to disengage away. And there's an arrow across from mid lane. There's the spear to connect to. Empowered leap, dash and delete. He's unstoppable. 6-1 and 7. It's been his game. He was the star player of last week. He did 30% of his team's damage to the Croc. And he is heeding the call here again today.
Yeah, Carry Croc has really shown up to this playoffs. Not playing the tanks or anything like that anymore, Skimmy. Instead, 6-1-7 on the 1P Nidalee. This is going to be Baron picked up, and PGG are one of those teams that they will certainly sacrifice the limb. They'll cut it off if they think that it will buy them some time to continue to scale. But when you're 8,000 gold behind, I don't know whether there is enough scaling on Summoner's Rift to get you back into this one. Chiefs looking very comfortable in game number 1.
And they most certainly are. They found the tempo, they found the structure, and the ability to say, whilst you can have some strong words, whilst you can have some strong ability to win that matchup with CS, CS doesn't necessarily equate to momentum, and that's what they're up against so far, because with the Baron buff, what was an 8k gold lead is soon to become 10.
Yeah, it certainly could. We're well and truly on our way there. They have control of 2 lanes as well. With a composition like this, you only need to be able to play 2 of them. Just give me their team fight is so damn strong. You can see Claire rotating towards that mid lane. I wouldn't be surprised if they even left Croc to side lane. We've seen them do that when Croc is the strongest person on Summoner's Rift, and right now he is 4,500 gold up on par to his direct counterpoint. Or they could just pull the trigger on the dive. Because Thean, he's playing the thick bear. That is certainly something that is in his wheelhouse.
Does it all. Carry or non-carry, bruiser or not. And he'll get in your face and he'll remind you what he's able to achieve, and this is the formula for success that the Chiefs are showing time and time again, and we'll get to see how they look to try and close out this game. And really what Pentinet's resolve is to come back into this one, because we take a bit of a stock check of the Summoners to look forward to in the next minute, or that all-important decisive Ocean Soul. Both AD carries don't have that flash available, but Katsuri does have a cleanse.
And I am quite surprised that the Chiefs backed away. They obviously don't feel like they can end the game off this Baron buff, despite the fact that Praetor has no flash. They have a great dive comp, and they have everything up and available that they would like. Instead, not risking it this early on, Skimmy, they are going to set up for that next Dragon fight. The theoretical coin flip is still back on the table. They are 10,000 gold up, so not much of a coin flip. You know, let's call it a dice roll, but I have 4 sides and you only have 2. But we'll see whether you can hit those 2 sides, Skimmy, because Pentanet, they definitely need the dream team fight right now.
Certainly do, and even more so when Croc's just gone back to base and just like that picked up a Rabadon's cap.
Okay, yep.
It's a little bit doomed, as the people tend to say in chat. But we'll get to see, nonetheless, how Penta can try and set themselves up. They've got a dive comp, they haven't been able to truly execute upon it, because Chiefs are the ones that are putting the trigger time and time again. That is Ro, that's Leona. Zoned out and away. The Solar Flare connects for nothing right now, and Getback tries to go for a charge and actually gets himself a locked-in blaze. You're trying to run away, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. You can flash, but you can't dance from this one. The Chiefs are coming for you. They're angry, they're ready to brawl, and they're finding kills on repeat.
Yeah, and I feel like that they're a little bit hesitant right now. They don't know whether they want to go Dragon or end the game. I think they can just end the damn game right now. 27 seconds still on Getback. Members still haven't returned to the base. And the Chiefs can just look to take it all.
That they certainly can, and especially with this ultimate, that's the 2 turrets gone, disabled. No chance to showcase what they can do. A last-ditch effort here in game number 1 for Penta to rise up. 1 member falls, a second to follow, and just like that, the Chiefs will open up this best of 5 with a win. The Korean King, the prodigy himself, the MVP in Croc, does it again.
Yeah, he had a really great game, Skimmy, and that is probably the worst game of League of Legends we have seen out of Pentanet in a long time. They lose in under 30 minutes. They lose by about 12,000 gold lead. Their bottom lane is 0 and 5, and that's where so much of the damage needs to come from. Put the Jhin in the bin. It should not be played again. It did not do its job. But Chiefs, they strike first blood. They go up 1-0 in the series.
I certainly do. Going to be interesting to see how this series progresses, as the Chiefs will no doubt be keen to keep the games at that level of tempo, at that level of pace of forcing fights, forcing aggression, and finding success in their attempts at just that. We're going to jump to a quick break and see how the series continues as we get ourselves geared up for game number 2.
Today is the NeoSurf Cup, and we're going to be playing against Misfits, so hopefully we can bring home the win.
NeoSurf is simple, safe and secure. You can go to your local shop and get a voucher code and use it online, preferably to buy League of Legends skins.
He's got it! This is deadly! He's got it!
If you're craving the taste of your favourites, head to Macca's for a fast, safe and contactless drive-through experience. For your Macca's run, contact-free, we'll be here.